Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So, today I am going to be giving you guys my top 10 final battles in superhero movies. Or movies in general, right? Whether if it's Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Power Rangers, Transformers, Ninja Turtles, whatever. All those are in this list in somehow, right? So, I am going to give you guys my top 10, right? There might be some that I'm like one, the bottom one here, my number 10, I was like, I might need to switch that. Because when you rewatch a lot of the final battles, they impact in a different way, right? So, and I think that some of my favorite movies of all time, like, you guys know I like Rise of Skywalker. Spoiler alert, it's not on this list. Even though I do love the final battle, I think that it would have been on here if they did small changes to it. Like, we've all seen a lot of the edits where they add the Force Ghosts into the whole scene with Rey, where they put their hands up and they use the Force. So they kind of, give the analogy of why Rey has so much power. Like, stuff like that would make me go like, yep, that's in my top 10. But no, that's not my top 10. Spoiler alert. But number 10 for me is the two Flashes, Supergirl, and Michael Keaton's Batman versus General Zod and his crew in The Flash. The reason why I have this one in here is because that it's not only is it the end of the Snyderverse, but it's also a celebration of everything that came before. Whether if it's Man of Steel with General Zod and the World Engine and correcting some of the critiques that people had about Man of Steel, where it's like, oh, why doesn't Superman take the battle to the desert or something? Guess what? The Flash, Supergirl, and Batman have it in the desert. And also you have also the celebration of Michael Keaton's Batman, whether if it's him on the ground trying to fight Dark Flash or him in the Batwing with the original Batman theme, which I love, right? And you guys know Michael Keaton's my favorite Batman, so because I was thinking of adding Batman Returns because Batman Returns is one of my favorite movies of all time, my favorite Batman movie. But the final battle in that is technically him versus the Penguin, him versus Selena, which that one isn't really a battle. That's more of a conversation scene. But this final battle is something that's like, yes, seeing Sasha Calle's Supergirl basically be the Henry Cavill role in this movie of going up against Zod, and she actually kicks the crap out of Zod. Like, she bloody goes up to him, bloody kicks him, and bloody throws a bloody thing in his face and bloody knocks him into a bit of metal on the side of the ship or whatever. Before Zod eventually activates a thing and bloody stabs her through the gut. And before bloody Dark Flash comes out of nowhere and bloody gets Michael Keaton out of the bloody out of the Batwing, and then he starts falling down, and then bloody starts falling down to the ground and stuff like that. And then the fact that they have that, and then they do it a second time when they go for the Speed Force, and Flash is like, oh, we can go back in time, we can save them. And then they do it again, and it happens again. But it's like they both, I think another time Zod uses kryptonite. Batman does the first time because of bloody going against the big ship, and he bloody blows up. It's like, what? That's Michael Keaton's Batman. That is like the most, the best or comic accurate Batman, whether if you think that or not. like in any movies ever. Like, definitely better than Clooney. Definitely, like, better than Kilmer. Better than Bale. Like, Affleck is up there for me, but definitely better than Pattinson. It's like, this guy is the Batman for most people, and you bloody destroyed him. But I love that final battle. I think it's so good, and I think it's one of the best final battles in any DC movie, right? There are some that have above this, but because they're big impacts on us. So number 9 for me is Obi-Wan vs. Anakin Skywalker in Revenge of the Sith. Now, I'm not a big Star Wars fan. This is the only Star Wars final battle I have here. Because I think that this movie is actually important and very good. There's 2 other movies that I have above this, which is New Hope and Rise of Skywalker, right? But I think that this movie is the best out of the prequels. It's the most important one. This is pretty much the only prequel that you need to do. You didn't need to do Attack of the Clones and the bloody I don't like sand, or the bloody famous, like, let's try pod racing, let's try spinning, that's a good trick, that's pod racing. It's like, you don't need those movies. You just need Revenge of the Sith. So if you just watch Revenge of the Sith, you're like, yes, I get this guy. He bloody talked to bloody Chancellor Palpatine. He bloody turned bad. He bloody slaughtered children and all that, and he bloody basically killed his wife, and also turned against his friend and master Obi-Wan Kenobi, which leads to, for me, the thing that's below Revenge of the Sith is the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which I just love. I think that there's a lot of good things in the Revenge of the Sith final battle that's like, yes, it's just incredible. I love that final battle, even though that's a little silly at times when you see the whole, like the lightsaber crap, and they're going, like, very, very quick, and their like hands, like, spinning around the back and stuff, which is like his signature move a lot of the times in those 2 in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith especially. You see the whole back spin thing with the saber that he does, and then blocks Obi-Wan's lightsaber and stuff. Like, that sort of stuff is so cool, and I love it. I love the Revenge of the Sith final battle. Now, number 8 for me is Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman versus Doomsday in Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. The main reason why I have this one up here is because that this movie is, like, I like this movie. I think it's made because of the Batman stuff. And I love Wonder Woman and I love Superman in it, right? But, I'll say this. The final battle, it's not great. Not Superman. How they create Doomsday is not great. And the Doomsday look is kind of so-so. But the first time seeing Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman fighting this beast that eventually kills Superman in this movie with the kryptonite is bonkers to me. This is like more shocking than Zod killing Supergirl in The Flash. Like, this movie is so like I like this movie because it's so bonkers, and it takes risks that you don't expect from DC to do with, like, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. They're the most precious properties ever. But I think that there's a lot of things in this battle that are really good, like seeing Batman body using the grappling hook and getting away from the Doomsday lasers, and also Superman rescuing Lois Lane from underneath the water to get the kryptonite spear, and then Wonder Woman saving Batman and doing that whole thing, and the music coming up there, like the Wonder Woman thing is so cool. I love that final battle. I think it's one of the coolest final battles that we've seen in most of the DC movies at this point, right? And I think I love that final battle. I think it's so good, and I think it's one of the misunderstood final battles that we have. Now, number 7 for me, it's the final battle from Power Rangers 2017. When you see that movie, you're expecting them to get Like, to be like, nah, we're not interested, but having the morphers on them. But because the scenes where they used the morphers in that movie got cut, they actually was like, you know what? The scene where they morph in the big circle and whatever, and Jason says, is morphin' time. And it's nice as Austin St. John, when he goes, it's morphin' time! Which Decker Montgomery goes more like, it's morphin' time. But it's impactful. You get that, oh, yes! And then the score by Brian Tyler is so good. And you see and you hear the as they're doing the Green Lantern or whatever, like alien suit, like on their arms and through their body, and as soon as you hear see by Jason looking at his hand, and it's going like over his hand and onto his body, and you get the flashes of the before you hear the and all of them are walking out, and then eventually they're like, oh my god, they found the command center, and the players are going down the wire. Then you have the whole fight scene where they throw each other up in the air, and then they are fighting all the players in the water, and which I think is so cool. You never see that in a superhero movie. You never see them fighting, well, any superhero fighting a bad guy underwater, except for like Aquaman. But you never really see Iron Man, like, in Iron Man 3, he's drowning underwater. You don't really get anyone fighting a villain underwater, except for Aquaman. But you expect that from Aquaman, though. You don't expect that out of Power Rangers or anything. So, that alone, and then when they get to the top, they land in, and then they fight the putties, and then Zach has the idea of, like, I know what to do, and he goes down and is like, I'll see you guys later. And he gets the bloody Mastodon Zord, and, like kind of silly comedy knocks the bloody putties off the mountain. I think is so funny. And then the point where it's like Kimberly goes like, we're going to Angel Grove, let's get the Zords. And then they get the Zords, and the Zords go out, and you hear, go, go, Power Rangers! You hear the 95 movie theme, and they all fight Raider, and it comes to a point where they're fighting all separately with the Zords, and then until they shove down the pin, they're like, let's become Megazord, and then Megazord blade connects, and you see the blade explosion, and the Megazord comes up and has this fight with Goldar. Even though that I don't want to say it's not a good fight, the Megazord one, but I'm ranking it as the final battle as a whole. Everything from them first putting the suits on to the Zord fight. It's not a bad fight, but it's slow. Not slow, but they don't really know what they're doing because it's an origin, and this is the first time that they've used the Megazord, so you get the whole thing of them tripping and stuff. But no, I think it's really, really cool the way that they use it, and it's more grounded Power Rangers than the science fiction, like, oh, let's bloody do the freaking whole thing of like the bloody how do I put it? The like having Goldar talk like this with a voice like Rita, and Rita being the whole like after 10,000 years I'm free with the bloody cone boobs and that sort of stuff. Like, I think that Elizabeth Banks does a fantastic job as Rita. I love her. I think that she's so good as Rita. But I think that there's a lot of good things in the final battle of Power Rangers 2017. That's why it lands in number 7 for me. Number 6 for me is Spider-Man and New Goblin versus Sandman and Venom in Spider-Man 3. This, for me, when watching this movie, this was like the Avengers Endgame portal scene for the first time. Like, where you see the whole thing of, like, Spider-Man where it's like, this might be the end of Spider-Man. And then Toby puts his hand out to MJ, and MJ is looking over, like, about to cry, and then you just hear this small thing, Lance Sandman, he's like, hmm? And you see the body, light of the goblin one going like, and then you hear then Buddy Osborne, Harry Osborne comes in, and then you hear the like the Spider-Man theme by Danny Elfman. Oh, chills just thinking about it. And you have and it's like, you came. It's like, just like, it's like, wait, Osborne say? I was like, just in the nick of time. Well, a couple of minutes ago it wouldn't have been so bad either. What are you gonna do? And it's like, I need some help over here. I'm a little busy right now. And then Spider-Man's facing off against Venom, and then Goblin's facing Sandman's way. He's like, give me your hand! And then swings him around, and then they do it in a way where Goblin's like on the glider, like staying there in one spot, but swings Peter around and kicks Sandman, and then kind of throws Spider-Man as he pushes Venom to the next level of the scaffolding. So cool! I love that. I think that is amazing. I love that final battle. I think it's so cool, and I think that, and the whole point where where Harry died, you're just like, no, Harry, and it's like, oh man, like just think about it, it's like, oh man, what did we do? And I love that, right? So I think that it's so cool. Now number 5 for me is the Autobots and Maximals final battle in Transformers: Rise of the Beast. Yes, it only came out this year, but I love that final battle so much. It was in the trailers, but I didn't expect how much it was. Right? I didn't know if it was like a middle battle or I presumed it was the climax, but I didn't know how it was going to play out in the movie. But the whole thing of giving Noah a suit that, like, giving Noah Mirage, making him like a Transformer suit, I thought that was actually kind of cool. As much as I didn't really care for much about the humans, right? I thought that whole thing was very cool. And then when they do the whole like, all for one, and they like defeat the villain, and they do the whole thing of like Optimus Prime grabs on, because Noah can't grab Optimus Prime because he's too heavy, and he starts flying away, and then Optimus Prime grabs him, and he's like, all for one, and then they throw Optimus down, and he turns into a truck, and Noah gets on his back and jetpacks off. It's so cool, and I was like, yes, this is like on par for me with the bloody opening scene of Bumblebee, where you have the whole bloody Cybertron war and stuff like that with Optimus and Bumblebee. It was so cool. I loved that battle. I think it was amazing. Now, these top 4 for me are, I can't believe that they exist. Number 4 for me is the Shazam family versus, I can't remember his name, but the whole Shazam family scene. That final battle was so cool because you understand family, because they actually are family, but also they're working as a team. This is like this and the opening scene of Fury of the Gods, where they have the whole bridge scene. That is a DC level Avengers movie done right, if you know what I mean. And I love the whole thing of like, Shazam has this thing, it's Dr. Sivana, that's his name. Has this whole thing with Dr. Sivana, and then the kids have their whole thing with the deadly sins or whatever, and they're fighting them. And they all have like the same powers, but to not get confused, they did the whole thing of one power each. So like, Freddy gets the flight, Darla gets the super speed, and then oh my god, what's his name? But one of the kids gets the Sparkle Fingers, right? Captain Sparkle Fingers. And then Pedro gets I think it's Pedro gets the super strength, and then I can't remember what Mary got in that in that bit, because I don't think that they really showed a lot of her bit. But they did show a lot of the others, and they did it in a way that was very clever, where it's like you didn't get you didn't get confused of who had what powers. They were like, we're only going to give one of the kids one power, just so the audience doesn't get confused and they can follow along with the action. Where it's like, as opposed to getting like about 500, like all 4 or 5 of the kids by getting super speed, and it's like, do some different things other than the super speed. But they did that. They did the whole thing of like giving one kid one of Zachary Levi's, Shazam's powers. I think they've done a very, very good job of that, and I love that for it. And I think that is why it's one of the best like final battles ever, right? Number 3 for me is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Krang in Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. The reason why is because that when you see the trailers for this movie, even though they wasn't really in a lot of the trailers, you didn't see the pink Krang, you saw the Mandroid. You knew it was coming, but also you didn't know whereabouts in the movie it was. In the final battle, they used Krang in the way that is like, that is so Krang from the animated series for modern day, that is just like, yes, that is what we want. Like, you have the whole thing of like, oh, he's literally rearming. And he sucks in a new weapon and spins it around. That is so cool. And then you also have the whole thing of him like spinning around by the stomach and then throwing the toes around, and then you have the whole thing where Leo like hangs onto the side of the table and flips over and like gets like a cranky face. And then you have the whole thing of them of like Krang grabbing Mikey and it's like, oh, guys, little help. Leo and Raph going to things like, oh, hang on little bro. And then they get rid of Mikey out of there, and then Donnie comes in with the bow staff and puts it into Krang's head, and because of the technology it circles through Krang's body. It's like, it's like he has a body robot seizure or something, right? Or if I could fit right. Which I think is so cool. I think that, even though that does look like a Transformers battle, I think that's what, you're never going to get that again. You're always going to get a version of, like Shredder versus the Turtles, or, some other villain versus the Turtles in other movies, like Mutant Mayhem. But I think that there's something about other shows that's like, committing to the cartoon vision made that whole movie and the battles in it great. Where it's like, I love the battles in the first Bay, in the Bay film, but there's something about the first movie that's like, okay, you're kind of copy and pasting the 1990 movie, but doing it in kind of a little bit of a better way. Where it's like, yeah, the subway scene, except for having the subway scene with Raph in April, you have the Four Turtles in April, except for having them versing Shredder on a rooftop at night. They're versing Shredder off in the day. There's things in there that remind you of the 1990 movie, like, except for having the Turtles at, I mean, that's enough about the first movie, but you get the point. I think that committing to a cartoon vision gets you to have more cool and creative fight scenes, and that is why the Ninja Turtles final battle is, for Out of the Shadows, is up there for me. Now, number 2 for me, this would be number 1, but number 1 had more of an impact, like, final battle-wise. This one, the whole movie was an impact. This is why it's my favorite movie of all time. But number 2 for me is the final battle in Spider-Man No Way Home, where it's Toby, Tom, and Andrew versus Sandman, Electro, Lizard, Goblin, and in some ways Ock. Not a lot of Ock, right? But a decent amount. I love that because, like, they all fight in different ways. Like, they all pair him up with the villains that they need for those movies. So you get you get Andrew or Peter 3. You get Andrew going up against Electro again. You get Toby going up against or reuniting with Sandman again. You get him talking to Ock at the end. You get Tom Holland talking to, like, fighting Lizard and fighting Sandman and stuff like that. And I think they do it really well, and having the whole thing of, like, Goblin coming down and that sort of stuff, and it's like, can the Spider-Man come out to play? And that reference to the first film where Toby's on the phone and he says that exact same thing where it's like, can the Spider-Man come out to play? Where is she? Like, that sort of stuff is so cool. And the reason why I have this battle so high is because they're not trying to fight the villains necessarily. They're trying to cure the villains and give them a second chance. I think that was such a cool twist for No Way Home. And it's like, except for defeating your villains, you can easily do your easily cue them and all that, and then have that whole thing of and it also gives them redemptive moments, right? So, like, not necessarily Tom Holland, because Tom Holland's trying to deal with the Goblin and that sort of stuff, but Toby redeems him and Sandman's relationship, even him and Ox. The fact that Andrew Garfield saves Zendaya, I think that is so cool. And having that whole thing, even though I kind of wish that they did the whole edit of, like, seeing, you see MJ fall, but then it kind of turns into Gwen from Amazing Spider-Man 2. Even if it's just, like, a quick thing of, like, those two images are clashing in Andrew's mind as he falls, right? I think that would have been so cool. And having that scene in there is so cool. And him looking down at her going like, are you okay? It's like, yeah, I'm okay. Are you okay? It's like, I think that's so cool and so special. I just love that so much. Now, number one for me is maybe because of I don't know if it's because of my theater experience or it's because it actually is my favourite final battle in a movie in general, right? And that is, of course, the portal scene in Avengers Endgame. Because Infinity War would be on here, but the problem is Infinity War has, the final battle would be the Wakanda fight, right? Because that one lasts for longer. But even then, you're kind of slicing between the Titan fight and the Wakanda fight. But the portal scene gets everyone that was on the Titan battle in Infinity War and the Wakanda fight in Infinity War, and even brings in Korg and Meek and Howard the Duck and Wasp and Valkyrie and all these people that weren't in Infinity War. Brings them back to fight Thanos and the Chitauri in Endgame. And the one shots of having the whole thing of them charging towards Thanos and paying back, and seeing over 100 heroes that we've seen in these movies just running towards Thanos is so cool. And the whole shot where Spider-Man has the gauntlet, he grabs it and Cap's like, hang on, Queens, and throws the hammer, and Spider-Man's like, and webs the hammer and goes flying, and then boy lands on Valkyrie on with her Pegasus, and it's like, oh hey, nice to meet you, oh my god! Those one shots are incredible, and you can see the action so well, and the whole thing of having a football game where Black Panther's and the callbacks too, this one was real good, where it's Hawkeye has the gauntlet, and it's basically I know he'll give it to, and then Black Panther's like, Clint, give it to me. Which is basically reference from Civil War, where Clint's like, I don't think we've met yet. I'm Clint. And Black Panther's like, I don't care. But really he does care, because again, Black Panther's grown since Civil War. And then the whole thing of Black Panther gone like running with the gauntlet and then passing it to all these different characters and that sort of stuff was so cool. And having like Pepper in a rescue suit was so cool, and having her fight with Tony in the spinny shot, right, was so cool. I love that. And having Kawaka doing the face, and then Drax by stabbing this guy in the back even though that's not doing anything. Like, there's so many cool different references and funny bits and jokes and happiness that you get from the Endgame battle when you see it in the theater, or you're even just watching it, right? There's so many cool moments that you're just like, yes, this is exactly what we want for the finale of the Infinity Saga, right? And it's so cool, and I love that about it. So those are my top 10 favorite battles of all time in movies. So guys, please hit the like button down below if you haven't already. Hit subscribe. Also the little bell icon to get enough future videos that I make. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.
Hey there. Subscribe to my channel. And also press this bell icon.